This is definitely a tough topic today. So if you're feeling a little resistant, hang in there and see what you get out of this conversation. I would love to hear from you. Let me know your thoughts about this subject of letting go of control. It is definitely a triggery one. In the video that I put out earlier in the week to introduce this topic, I mentioned that there are some fears that get in our way of letting go of control. Those fears are generally that we're afraid of what might happen if we're not in control. Also, if everything goes into chaos because heaven forbid we stopped controlling things, we're afraid of how we might handle things in that chaos. What if we make mistakes? What if we lose our cool? If you can think of some other fears that stop you from letting go, pipe those in the comment box as we're going on. Holding on to that control harkens back to an earlier video when we perfectionism comes up a lot, yeah? Because it's me and I struggle with that. But we can't be perfect. Making mistakes and finding ourselves in less than ideal situations is a part of life. Just a natural part of life. If we're always having to plan and predict, it creates this baseline level of anxiety. And the irony there is that we're bringing upon ourselves the very stress that we're trying to avoid. Over time, that can weaken our resilience, causing those meltdowns that we were trying to prevent. I found this appropriate quote from a gentleman named William Barry. We believe taking control will bring us security and happiness. Yet, its overuse causes unhappiness and anxiety. Pretty simple, pretty to the point. Thoughts on that? Let me know what you're thinking about this topic. Are you with me so far? Anyone out there saying, me too? Oh, I'm glad this is resonating for you, Wendy. Thanks for speaking up and thanks for joining. Yeah, anytime. I try to do these regularly on Thursdays, trying to stick to it. That's the intention. And maybe that we can consider that as we're discussing control as well. Control and intention, that is actually going to come back up. In that video, again, I mentioned at the end there to start to introduce the idea of how can we add in this piece with letting go. It's not an on and off switch, but if we can think about it as a little bit at a time, how can we be okay with life just being life? Allowing that permission gives us the strength that we need to see clearly, to respond better. It is hysterical to me that I haven't done this topic yet. So, and it's one of those no-brainers, like, wow, Annika, how have you not talked about letting go of control? I have always thrived on structure. It feels safer to me to have a plan, to know what's coming, for things to be very clear and black and white. I need that. Do I? Do I just think I do? I have thought that I do need that my whole life. Accepting those shades of gray has been one of my hardest life lessons. I realized that letting go of control requires faith in both myself and in the good of the universe around me. Now, it's the first part of that I struggle with the most. Letting go of control means learning to trust that I'm capable. And that goes against my darkest fear of I can't. I tend to cover up that belief that I'm incapable with overdoing and overprotecting and overplanning. And with a little luck, I may just be able to pull it off. Wow, that's a lot of pressure to struggle against. Anyone else? It's like pushing a boulder uphill. Maybe you haven't covered it because you weren't ready to let go of control of it yet. Probably still not. Hey, Matt, faith in the universe and self is hard. Yes, it's challenging. And I think that it's a grander, deeper question, isn't it? It's a deeper spiritual, why are we here kind of question, which sort of fuels the underlying themes of a lot of these, is that's our connection to, what is this all about? And how do we relate to it? And what is it that makes it not just easier, but hey, what if we could make it a little bit more fun? Can we all just have a little bit more fun? And I do wish that learning to trust ourselves was like this on and off switch. I can't tell you how often I wish I could request that. That's not a realistic thing for us to hunger for. We could give ourselves a little bit more of a break. It's not going to be this on and off switch. Trust in anything is built over time. It's a slow process that begins when we first accept our tendencies to control and stop making it wrong. Ooh, this is hard to do because it feels ugly, right? I mean, control freak is not really a happy, fluffy, positive sounding label. We make this a bad thing, but judging it seems to make it dig in its hooks and permanently set up camp. One way to accept this need for control is to look at the positive sides that it offers. I am a great planner. You guys too? Yeah? Are you the go-to for getting stuff done? Okay, can you start to see where I'm going with this? I can see a million things that need to be done and troubleshoot all the things that can go wrong. I can take abstract ideas and get them clear and concise. What positive sides are there to your abilities? Consider this. The ability to put things into action by setting an intention and identifying all the steps to reach a goal, that is a strength. That's that positive side of planning, controlling. Yes? Can you start to see this? You with me? Resonating so far? That is a hallmark of true creation, to be able to set an intention, identify all the steps, and work your way there. When we can soften our judgment of this thing, then it becomes about balance. Every quality we have has a light and a dark side. Being able to see both the advantage and the disadvantage of a character trait puts us in the driver's seat. With awareness, we are able to use this trait rather than having it use us. How do we balance the light and the dark of this control thing? Sometimes clear and concise isn't what's needed anyway. Oh, you're so right on top of where I'm going, Emma. Sometimes messy is what reaches to the heart of us. Yes, and being perfectly imperfect and chaotic and beautifully human. Yes, and that leads into a lot of where I'm going. Balancing the light and the dark of this control thing. Want some ideas? Here's some ideas. I would love to hear your ideas as this is sparking some. How do I resonate with this? How does this show up in my life? In what areas do I feel really a need to control? And in what areas of my life am I more comfortable letting go and letting someone, something else take control? Where am I more relaxed? Where do I need to contract around something? What is the difference? Anyway, some ideas for balancing the light and the dark sides of this control thing. My favorite, planning in breaks. To do nothing or take a nap. Isn't that amazing? It's a great way to let go of control and have that balance between letting go and yet not completely, because you're planning in a break. This is, I can plan the absence of structure, and it feeds both monsters. I like that one a lot. That way, maybe the alarm goes off and it's like, oh, nap time. Put everything down. I get to take a break. Or whatever you fill your absence of doing, over planning, performing time with. I notice that more trust in someone allows me to release control. Yes. And sometimes I can be the control and let the other relax. Yes, so there's a flip-flop. You can gauge in certain situations or in certain relationships where there's that ebb and flow. Sometimes you're in the driver's seat, sometimes they are. But that element of trust that you introduced, yes, this is really what it's about. So, Matt, is this trust thing, is it out there? Is it out there in the world? Is this a universal law that everyone else sees, that there's something to trust and we're missing it? Is it external, or is this an internal thing in our heads, this trust thing? I mentioned faith earlier in myself and in the world around me. Are those two separate? Are they related? Juicy thoughts. Trust is a choice, a gift given, I think, yes. Not an on and off switch, right? Takes time. Or maybe time to deepen. Maybe there are layers of trust. Maybe that superficial layer. Maybe we give that because we believe in the good of the universe, the ultimate good, and the good of people around us. And if they abuse it, make it even more superficial. Or if they show up for us, if things go well, then we deepen and flesh out that trust. I don't know. What do you think? I know that I am so hard on myself that I need to continuously give myself permission to live in that shade of gray, to remind myself, to give myself permission to not know. That's where creativity lies, in that not knowing. If we know everything, if everything is so black and white and we've got the blinders on that everything has to look like this, well, that's not leaving a lot of room for creativity. Good call on the deepening. We have to give a little time. We have to give a little to let it grow or not. Yes, and then that's about us. Right? Does that not hearken into our ability to trust ourselves? How capable are we? Oh, I'm missing some comments here. I'm going to scroll back. Jen says, trust yourself first. Baby steps. Amen. That's where I'm going with offering these hints and little tips for letting go of control, and not like an on and off switch, not all at once, but a little bit at a time. Wendy says it's about trust. So when lack of trust comes up, and I identify it, I clear the emotional state of mistrust. I love that. I'd love to hear your process on clearing that. I'm sure that's not an on and off switch either. All right, so I just said that giving ourselves permission to live in that shade of gray, and recognizing when it comes up that that's okay to allow that wiggle room. And reminding myself that ultimately, all is well and will be well no matter what. That helps me reduce my attachment to the outcome when I do plan things. That harkens back to trust. Yes, I'm going to scroll back up again here. So the love has to, I'm thinking, be within ourselves so we don't have to have that fear. Yep. Yeah, this is all just a big faker topic for self-love. They all are. They all are, but it's such a buzzword that sometimes it's easier to put our words around these individual topics like letting go of control, where we do delve into those deeper conversations of trust and faith. To find a place of peacefulness, meditation can help here. Yeah, and I think that harkens back to what you were mentioning earlier about clearing the emotional state of mistrust, Wendy. Yes, thank you for your comments, you guys. Keep them coming. I love making people think, because I don't think that I have all the answers. I think that together, the brainstorm facilitates maybe our own personal answers, and of course, always some personal soul seeking as well. Just hearing what you say and others have to say is helpful. Good. I'm so glad. I love doing these conversations for exactly that reason. So Matt, thanks for joining today. I'm glad that you are a part of it. Letting go of control might mean that something could go wrong, or more frightening, that we won't handle something well if it does go wrong. But if you adopt the belief that the universe is conspiring in your favor, just if you were to adopt the belief, just try it on for a quick sec. If you were to adopt the belief that the universe is conspiring in your favor, then even the negative experiences have a positive effect. They cause us to grow. They provide insight. They provide connection when we can get support from the people that we love around us, connection to community. I mean, there's a million things that can come out of a negative, so-called negative situation that can have a positive effect. Who saw the Albert Einstein quote that I put out this week in that poster? Do you feel that the universe ultimately is a friendly place and is here to support you? This can be super triggery. I am not saying that bad things don't happen. But if we consider the way that we label them, can there be pain? Yes. There's some not really lovely stuff in this world. But if you step back and get a broader view, what are the sometimes positive things, the deepened connection in other areas, the growth that can come from a challenging situation? How can it make you a benefit to somebody else because you went through this really tough thing? I mean, it's tough. And if you're going through something really, really hard over there, I get it. I see you, and we have all been there. And it doesn't always feel like the universe is a really lovely, supportive place. Sometimes, if we can take a break to maybe look back on some previous things that didn't go so hot and look at who we became because of that challenge, at the very least, it can provide a distraction if you're going through something tough right now. But it's just a way of softening that grip, broadening those blinders from having to have everything look this way in order for us to be safe. Again, not an on and off switch. There's no quick fix to this. Inviting this conversation about the universe being for our highest good, that could mean that someone else or something else is doing the controlling, which is pretty triggery if you were to release that. But we can take back the reins even here by changing our own thought process. If you were to look at, again, I've said this, if you were to look at your challenges as opportunities for personal growth, for resilience, for new perspectives, and along with those new perspectives, peace from an enriched experience, then it's possible that if you believe that those things are for your good, then you'll navigate them with less resistance. And that, if we can't protect away those bad things from happening to us, can we at least navigate them with less resistance and less stress? Can we agree that that might be a great thing? A great tip to follow on the heels of that: don't avoid the negative feelings. Oh, if I could get that one message out there in the world, Don't avoid those negative feelings. Stop trying to control your feels. We can't squash them. We can't. They're there for a reason. Welcome them. Remember that that which you resist persists. Have you ever tried to squash, eliminate, push out a so-called negative emotion? Does it really work? Gosh, no. Usually it comes out way worse and way more fiery on the flip side. At some point, it will surface. Letting go of control does allow for those more creative options. Have you heard the concept of putting out your request, saying, yes, I would like this. I would like this to happen. This would be my ideal situation. Or something better. I would like this. Or something better than even what I'm imagining. That allows for the flow and possibilities that never would have shown up if you had to stick to the dang structure. Right? You're able to see more options if you're not so narrowly focused. Sometimes we can control ourselves right down the wrong path. If there is a wrong path. It's all good, right? But what if softening our opinion on how it's supposed to go allows for a nudge down a better path, one that feels better, one that we would prefer to choose? We never know. But if it has to look a certain way, we're going to miss those options. Maybe you choose to let go in some areas and not in others. Little by little, little at a time. It's not all or nothing. It's not an on and off switch. Maybe you can let go of how the laundry has to be folded, but you keep your schedule structured because that matters. Can you see where you can give and take here? I read a blog by Michael Arlowski, and I'm almost done here. So if you guys have any other thoughts or comments, I'm about to wrap up. This blog by Michael Arlowski said that he shared that a woman that he knows organizes her time so that she can drift. Oh, hey, I have more comments. I have to learn how to scroll. Nope, the laundry must be perfect. Michael Arlowski, a woman that he knows, organizes her time so that she can drift. Knowing that she's got the important things covered and she's aware of her choices and can see what's coming ahead, then she can relax and enjoy living life well. A lot of this is about the energy that comes behind it. It's always about the energy that we fuel it with. Are we fueling it with positive intentions, or are we seized up in fear, contracting, coming from a negative place and controlling that way? There's a total difference. That's what I mentioned earlier about looking at the light and the dark sides, looking at the positive sides of this. We can come from a positive place and allow for a little bit of flow and balance with the control and the letting go. Being in the present moment really helps that. We can plan stuff out, ideas, ideals, this or something better in the future, and then come back to what is occurring in the present moment to really get our information on, well, is that the next right step? Or do I maybe need to shimmy to the left and cha-cha back a little bit? This is like prepping so that we can dance in the moment. I heard that phrase came up this week. Dancing in the moment. Being guided by inspiration, intuition, opportunity, or somebody else's different idea that expands us. Wow. Wouldn't that make for an enriched, fulfilling, meaningful life? Flow and balance is hard. Definitely worth pursuing. There's a lot of conversation about what it's really like as a dancer to flow and where the tension comes in and where you let it go. And I mentioned to someone else earlier this week, a client about switching, which I saw, I think, a TED Talk on dancing, switching roles. So the lead within a dance switches, and it's seamless and amazing. Really, really cool way to play with that concept of letting go of control and taking it back, and playing with it again, letting it go, and then taking it back. Any other thoughts that you have? Challenges around this? Resistance? Throw it out there. This is definitely a me too conversation. Jen says, wax on, wax off. Yes, yes. Thank you, Wendy. Thanks for being here, you guys. I'm gonna sign off until next week, and I'll go back and visit with you after the fact. Thanks, you guys. Have a good day. Lots of love. Bye-bye.